Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm going to show you a game between Ernst Gruenfeld and Richard Reti from the Bad Piston tournament in 1922. This game, Indian defense. The difference between the old Indian and the King's Indian or New Indian is the placement of the dark squared bishop. So, as we know in the King's Indian defense, the dark squared bishop goes on Indian. The bishop would often end up on will often end up on e7. So you get like setups. That kind of look like you get setups that look like this many times. And let's just play knight f3. And the bishop will be on e7 as opposed to g7. So the King's Indian was supposed to be more of an improvement, and that you are giving the bishop a better job, more scope, etc., etc. Although oftentimes in the King's Indian, that bishop ends up being bad on g7. But uh, Old Indian does not refute it or anything like that. It's not bad. It's very, very solid defense. I like to play it every now and then. But I mean, you can subject yourself to torture, especially against a strong player. I've been tortured a few times using it because it's not like you're getting a great amount of counterplay. It's flexible. It's very solid, but it's just passive. Okay, and white has that slight advantage, and you feel like you're in like a Spanish torture type position when you're going up against a strong player. But anyway, here's a game from Richard Reti with the black pieces. Gruenfeld has the white pieces. And this game started off d4, knight f6, c4, and d6. Knight f3, bishop f5. This early bishop to f5 in certain lines is known as the Janowski variation, named after the Polish grandmaster. And normally that would come out in this opening, say after d4, knight f6, c4, d6, knight c3, and e5, knight f3, e4, knight g5, and then you will see bishop f5 here sometimes. So in this game, you see bishop f5 in a slightly different context. So bishop f5 was played by Reti. Knight c3. Now h6. g3. c6 by Reti. And this is just preparing later on. Many times black will play moves like a6 and b5 with the idea of countering on the queen side. Bishop g2, queen c8. The idea of mine, h3, knight bd7. And black is preparing this move e5. Knight d2, e5, d5. Taking doesn't really do anything to give white any type of edge. So d5, and there it is. Bishop's on e7. So you decide if the bishop is better on g7 or not. e4, bishop h7. So you can see some of the similar characteristics between the old Indian and King's Indian, right? It's like a King's Indian without the weakened king side, but less counterplay. Another thing too in this Janowski variation is that with this bishop over here seems to be a bit out of play, and black has to be very careful with that. At least when the bishop is on c8, a lot of times it can come into play at a later stage, sometimes even sacrificing itself on h3. Queen e2, castles, knight f1, and c takes. And notice again, black's play is concentrated toward the queen side and not on the king side, as we see in the King's Indian with the f4, f5, f4 uh, setup. Knight c5, so we see this increased pressure on this pawn right here. g4, and now b5 from Reti. And this is a typical theme, right? Taking a defender away from this pawn. So for example, if knight takes b5, then of course this pawn is gonna drop after knight f takes e4. Can't do that. So knight g3. So this pawn goes to support. But now black has another move, so he hits the knight, knight d1. So here is a critical moment in the game. We have this bishop kind of out of play here, and there's a standstill, right? Black has a lot of attackers on e4, but white also has a lot of defenders. So it's a standstill. And how does white or black make progress in this position here? So Reti played a fantastic move here, right? Um, taking the features in account in this position that White's development is rather behind and awkward, right? His majority of his pieces are still hanging out on the back rank. And Reti finds a good way to exploit this. He plays knight takes d5. Fantastic move here. E takes d5, and now look at that. Just like magic, this bishop is opened up on this diagonal. But is that enough for a piece? Of course not. He has more compensation than that. He plays knight d3 check. And now we can see that since this knight is awkwardly placed on d1, right, this bishop has no protection. So there's two pieces attacking the bishop. So in order for white just not to be down material, he's pretty much obligated to try to hold on to this piece. And unless he'll just be down material. So king d2, knight f4 now. So now we have a fork between the bishop and queen. The queen goes to f3. So white protects his pieces, but he's extremely awkward and in a perilous situation with this king. Queen c2, and now king e1. The knight comes back with the same threat as earlier, and now there's no stopping Reti from winning the piece. So he's pretty much won from, in all intents and purposes. King f1, knight takes c1, knight f5. The bishop just comes into g5. Bishop takes f5 is possible also. And of course, the idea, if queen takes f5, this queen takes d1 mate. So g takes f5 would have to be played. And then bishop g5 can be played here, or several moves. But bishop g5 is a strong move. Instead, Reti just played bishop g5 right away, which is just fine. Rook takes c1. Bishop takes c1. Knight d e3. Bishop takes e3, and Reti just realized his material advantage. And after queen takes b2, Gruenfeld resigned. So nice, quick miniature game by Richard Reti. I wanted to show you this game. It's one of those games that I don't really see talked about too much when concerning Richard Reti. But nice game, and in opening that is seldom seen nowadays, especially at the higher levels. But there actually is nothing wrong with it. It's just a matter of style. You do have to be patient with this opening, and but it is a good opening to try out. So I hope you like that video. Please like and subscribe, and comment down below, and check the links down below. Please consider supporting my channel. And also, I want to remind everyone that I am on live chess. So if you want to play 1 minute bullet games, I will play you there. Same name is here, Chess Audiobooks. Also on Twitter, Chess Audiobooks. So check